Do you know what I really liked about Life is Strange? Well, besides Max and Chloe, of course, it was the fact that the two endings were some of the most impactful endings I have ever played in any game and have left me devastated for over a decade, more or less. And then we got the announcement of the second game, which of course treated both endings with equal respect. After that, we had True Colors, which also paid respect to both endings equally. And we also had comics, which were optional, and if you chose the price field ending, then you could buy them and see what were Max and Chloe's adventures after you chose to save her. Now, all of that was very fine and dandy, but then came Life is Strange Double Exposure, and that ruined everything. And I'm not the kind of person who would usually say that, oh, this piece of media ruined the thing that came before it, because usually you can choose not to watch the show or play the game. But the thing is that with Double Exposure, we were promised a sequel that would pay homage and respect to both endings, and that is not what we got, not at all. But this one isn't the video where I will go into everything that Deck 9 did to disrespect not only the first game, but its players and most of its fan base. No. This is me telling you how fucked up the timeline of Life is Strange is now that we have a Double Exposure in the mix. The timeline before, it used to be very, very simple. You had the main game, and that branched off into two timelines, the Bay ending and the Bay end. Then we had Before the Storm, which takes place canonically in the same timeline, but it's a prequel, okay? Then we had Life is Strange 2, which can go from either of these two endings. Either you sacrifice Arcadia Bay or you save Chloe. That's fine. So it continues from these two timelines. We still have just these two timelines. Then, in between Life is Strange and Life is Strange 2, there was Captain Spirit, but it's still canonically in the same timeline. Then we had Life is Strange True Colors, which, exactly like A Life is Strange 2, it continues from these two timelines. Now, the first divergence we have is the comics, where it gives us an alternate timeline that separates from the price field ending. So then we technically have three timelines. You can have the first Bay timeline, where you go on to play Life is Strange 2 and Life is Strange True Colors without reading the comics. You can have the comics timeline, and you can have the timeline where Chloe is dead. So those are three. But then we have a Life is Strange Double Exposure, which ignores A Life is Strange 2, A Life is Strange True Colors, the Price Field comics, and Captain Spirit. All of that is ignored, and we just jump straight from the two endings of the first game 10 years and into Double Exposure. Except that this game doesn't really respect the Save Chloe timeline at all. So this timeline might as well not exist for how badly it's handled and played, at least at the time of recording this, which is actually on the New Year's Eve of 2024. So I hope to God that they figure Deck 9, sorry. I hope to God that Deck 9 figures out some shit and they realize the backlash that they've gotten is very, very bad, and do something to patch things up, because not only have they screwed up the price field ending, but they have also soured the Arcadia Bay ending. And not only that, there is still more, because by the time that this game ends, you have yet another timeline which fuses two timelines together. So Bay and So the Bay timeline and the Bay timeline become the same timeline, except that in order to do that, it also has to completely overwrite the events that happened in both of those games. Meaning that when we see Chloe next, and we probably will, because she contacts Max at the end of Life is Strange, the double exposure, we have no idea who this Chloe will be and what she will be like, because we have no idea which parts of these two timelines got transferred over to the now fifth timeline that we have. Now wait, to the fourth timeline we have, actually fourth, unless some more shit happens in the next game and we end up with things that were even more complicated. And I don't understand why they felt the need to do this, because it was set in stone. We had two endings, two timelines, and now we ended up with four, which again, the comics, you can ignore them if you choose. So again, as far as the game only content goes, we've had two timelines, and we knew what they were. And now we have this other completely different timeline that skips over some canonical events of the timeline we already had, and then makes a completely new timeline that we don't even have any idea what's it gonna look like. Because, by the way, the game sold badly. The reviews are bad. The backlash is also bad. So we don't even know if we're gonna get a sequel to this thing, because the entire team that worked on this game got fired after they realized that the game wasn't received well. So it might just end like this, and we just might never get the Life is Strange Avengers that we were promised to get. Yeah, at this point, the Marvel multiverse is pissing me off less, because at least with the multiverse, yeah, we knew what we were getting into. With this, no one had any idea what we were getting into. No one had any idea that this was just gonna completely ignore multiple games and then make a timeline in which we have no idea what is canon anymore. So yeah, that is my unhinged attempt at explaining the current Life is Strange timeline, and I hope to God that this gets cleaned up sooner rather than later.